And another visit to Leafs Morning Take. Luke, Schenn, thanks for joining us today. Luke, how you doing, man?
Good. Thanks for having me. How are we
Hey,
doing?
I'm good. We're good. Same old, just grinding her out. LMT's growing like a weed, my man. But thanks for having it on. Big time appreciation towards you. But I've been watching here. You crossed a milestone lately. 1,000 games in the National Hockey League. And not just that, your brother, who you're obviously very close with, was able to sneakily fly in and surprise you for that. How was that experience for you?
Oh man, that was unbelievable. That out of the whole thing. Well, first of all, I mean, obviously when the party happened or the milestone, and we didn't get off to the greatest start, with the team. So a lot of people coming down for that, and we had a just organized like sort of a big party, and I didn't really want anything to do with it as far as planning any of that. You just, as a hockey player, you just kind of want to get there, and you don't even want to be thinking about it. Anything could happen, and you're kind of just holding your breath to get there and everything goes smoothly. And then, yeah, the team didn't get off to a great start. So I was kind of wondering how, everyone would show up or react, and ended up being, unbelievable. Everyone, I think it might have just been what the guys needed to go there and have a good time. And we probably had about, I don't know, 150 people. I don't know. You had an invite, you didn't show up there. I'm not sure what happened, but
I was close.
uh, yeah, exactly. Maybe Braden could have snuck in on the PJ, but yeah. So, anyways, I had no idea what was going on there as far as Braden and we like I said, everyone was there, had a party, and all of a sudden at about I don't know 10:30, someone went on the mic and said, "Hey, Luke, we got one last surprise for you." And there was full of surprises, sort of with different sort of things that people were doing for me, which was really thoughtful. But we got one more surprise, and then they said, "Just take a look to your right," and all of a sudden Braden showed up out of the blue, and I was like, "What the heck?" Because I mean, never in a million years did I think that it would be possible because our game was an afternoon game. It was at like 2 o'clock, so the party was started at about 7, and the Blues played that night at 6 o'clock, and so. You don't even really think it's possible. So his game ended. Luckily, they won, but he had it all set up where I think he had like a police escort right from the Enterprise Center right to the airport hangar there. And within the game ending to him landing in Nashville, I think it was like an hour. So he
Wow.
ripped here in a hurry, and all of a sudden, yeah, just the biggest surprise. And yeah, it was obviously, Braden and I have been each other's biggest supporters and fans, and push each other through our whole careers, and gone through a lot of the same things, played together. And yeah, for him to show up there and make the effort, it was so special. And yeah, hopefully he can get there soon.
We had him on, I think, a couple days after it happened, and he was beaming ear to ear. I just wanted to ask you sort of how that was in terms of that milestone in your career, the accomplishment of playing with your brother in Philadelphia, and like, do you feel obligated to return the favor? You talked about him. I mean, what is he, 45 games or so away from 1,000 right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's still far enough away, and I haven't really looked at the dates. I mean, it just lined up with his dates that he had a day off the next day, and the flight wasn't too far, but obviously it depends on schedule. But yeah, I obviously would love to return the favor. And like I said, you don't want to start thinking too far ahead just because anything can happen throughout the course of a year. But yeah, there's no question that I would do anything for him, and for him to, like I said, show up there and make the effort. And it just turned out so perfect that and the greatest surprise really. So yeah, it was pretty special. And yeah, it's I guess the milestone and the game itself, it's one thing, but I think more so overall is just sort of like the whole journey, reflecting, looking back a little bit. It's been a hell of a ride and a bit of a roller coaster, and just sort of some ups and downs, and I wouldn't trade anything for or any part of it really. I mean, it's been you meet so many good people along the way, and the struggles, and to kind of, you know, overcome it and get out of it, I guess is maybe what you're most proud of. But yeah, to be able to celebrate with so many people who've been there along the way, whether it's friends and family from back home, and just parents and siblings and all that sort of stuff. It was a hell of a time, and I appreciate, like I said, everyone who came. And yeah, I would love to see Braden get there hopefully sooner than later.
Well, I'm sure he will, Luke. Maple Leafs here off to, a pretty hot start with a lot of changes happening at the helm, specifically Craig Berube coming in. Are you surprised that they've not taken too long to adjust to kind of a new style of play under this guy?
No, I mean, Chief's a great coach, and obviously, you know, I think it's not really surprising. You look at the makeup of their roster. I mean, they don't really have any holes. I mean, obviously, I know they've dealt with some injuries and a little bit of adversity that way, but I mean, they've had that next man up approach, which, Chief would obviously be preaching for sure. I've obviously spent a couple of years with him, and as did you, and just, how he is. I mean, it doesn't really, his day doesn't fluctuate too much as far as the highs and lows. He's pretty consistent and gets guys to buy in, and all he wants is that compete and, buy into the system. And, I don't even know if demanding is the right word as a coach. He's fair, and he's black and white and just kind of tells it like it is. So, I mean, yeah, they got a great group of guys there and a great, leadership group. And like I said, their forward group is no holes. Their D's obviously, solid, and, they're getting great goaltending. So, yeah, Chief's done a great job there. Not surprising. He's a Stanley Cup winning coach, and, has respect of everyone in the room. And I mean, it's not really that surprising to me at all.
What's impressed me is how quickly these guys have all meshed together, and that translates to the conversation. Obviously, you with the Predators, you talked about the slow start, but I think it's important sometimes, guys, to like humanize situation. From like a Steven Stamkos respect. Like, I mean, obviously, you play with him, you're buddies with him, but that's a big time move, not only for him and his family. Can you speak to like when you join a new team in the league? When do you finally feel like comfortable is the right word I was looking for? Like, when do you feel comfortable about like your new surroundings?
Well, I mean, to be honest, it took me a while to figure it out, getting traded or signing here last year too, and kind of getting adjusted to everything too. And I've been on multiple teams, over the course of my career, and it takes a little bit of an adjustment for sure. But I couldn't even imagine when you've been in one spot for 16 years coming into a new spot, how different it would feel. Like I said, I mean, when you jump around every couple of years, it still takes a few months to get it going. And, you got the aspect of, family and getting used to all that with, your surroundings and new house and, kids in school and just kind of figuring out the city. And then you add the hockey dynamic on top of that and figuring out, everything from your new routine before the game with, different sort of trainers and figuring out the system and coaches and teammates. And, like I said, I can only speak to how I felt, but, his would obviously be magnified that much more just because he was a guy that always people went to for advice and sort of, what to look for when coming to Tampa. Now it's the total opposite where, you're going to other guys trying to figure it out. So it would almost be, in my opinion, more surprising if there wasn't an adjustment period because that, when you're there for in Tampa for so long, everything's a second nature. So yeah, obviously it's just being human. It takes a while to figure out your new surroundings, but he's been playing good. He's been scoring goals for us, on the power play, and things are starting to come 5-on-5 too. And it's just like I said, it's an adjustment period, and I think everyone, obviously, be the first to admit that you wish you'd snap your finger and it happen overnight, but over time, it's getting stronger and stronger, and that's kind of everyone with our group. Nothing's come easy for us this year, whether it's individually or collectively as a team. We've kind of grinded for everything we've gotten for whatever reason. Just it's been a challenging start, so we got to continue to push here, even though we're I guess a quarter of the way through the year.
Being as you've been in the league as long as you have, Luke, and you're familiar with the Toronto Maple Leafs, everyone kind of knows their history, recent history. Would you agree there's a little bit different outlook? And as a player preparing to play them here this week, would you think there's a different vibe, different identity to this team that's noticeable, or is it the business as usual? I think the market's starting to feel like this team's got a little different identity so far this year.
I mean, that's tough to say. I mean, watching from a distance, I mean, you'd have a better feel of that than I would. You watch all the games. I mean, I catch bits and pieces here and there, but I mean, there's no question. Like I said, they're playing hard, and obviously, how Chief would he wants everyone to play on the defensive side of the puck and compete hard in their own end, and make plays when you have the opportunity. But like I said, you'd have a better feel on that than me. I mean, we're all looking forward to, getting the chance to go into Toronto. It's special to play there, obviously. And like I said, they're a top team, in the league and in the East. And they've been consistent all year. And like I said, no real holes. And obviously they got Austin back now and Nyes, and I think they're pretty healthy on the back end. So, and obviously Mitchie's having an unbelievable year. JT's been great. Willie, like, I mean, all the guys you'd expect, and then, just more depth on top of that. So yeah, it's impressive that, consistently year over year they find ways to improve and get better, and it's always it's a tough challenge to go in there and play, and it's not what it used to be 15 years going into Toronto when we were there. It was it's totally different now, and they got the utmost respect of teams around the league, that's for sure.
They definitely have a bit of an identity brewing as well on home ice. Like that's been a big story for me this season, is how good the Maple Leafs have actually looked at Scotiabank Arena. But is it safe to say this is one you always have circled on your calendar when you're not a Leaf, is coming to Toronto and coming back here?
Well, I mean, obviously it's a place where a lot of guys are from on
Yeah.
every team. A lot of guys are from Ontario or Toronto area. So yeah, guys like playing in front of friends and family. And for me, obviously, I have the connection of starting there and getting drafted there. So, Toronto's always a real special place for me. Just that's where I got my first opportunity. And I've always felt, I don't know if it's both ways, but I've always had a real strong appreciation for the fan base and the organization and how well I got treated there, and it was always fair to me. I think the way they treated me. So, and then getting the chance to go back there the second time, that was real special. Just going back at a totally different point in my career and getting the chance to play playoff hockey, and that atmosphere there, and in the first round versus Tampa and the second round versus Florida was like, what you dreamt of when I first got drafted there. So I was fortunate enough to get a second opportunity there, and yeah, so it's a special place for sure. And always love playing in front of that fan base. It's just there's a real special feel when you go into that arena and just the history there. And yeah, it's exciting to play there every time you get the chance. And I think a lot of guys around the league feel that way for sure.
We always talk about you being a foodie. What are some can't miss spots in Toronto?
Oh man, I don't know. Things have changed. Everything changes so much there. It's like you'll get the odd text like, "Hey, where should I go out in Toronto?" I'm like, I have no idea anymore, just because everything changes there. So yeah, there's always lots of good hidden spots for sure. But I mean, I don't, like I said, I don't get back there too much, so I'm not totally dialed into the food scene there anymore. So we'll have to figure something out when we head back.
Well, Luke, I know if you happen to find a spot and dig into the dessert a little bit, you'll be on the bike early working off those cals and punishing yourself as usual, man. But we thank you for taking the time. Good luck tonight, and we will see you again on Leafs Morning Take. Thanks for taking the time.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long form interviews, we got clips, we got epic rants by Jay Rosehill. We simply have it all. And don't forget, you can find out much more at theleafsnation.com. Thanks so much for watching.